I had a conversation with a family member who's an Inter fan, and he was basically saying that Guardiola was not that great of a coach. And then when he went to Barcelona, he found a team full of stars, full of good players that helped him become the coach that he is, and that he basically contributed nothing, or any other coach with this kind of players will do the same thing. So it's true that Guardiola, when he came into Barcelona, there was so many stars, Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, there were Ronaldinho, Deco, Eto'o. He kicked some of them out later, but so I wanted to cross that opinion with an interview Xavi gave the last few days. Well, we will talk about the integrity of the interview later, but just wanted to point one of the things that he mentioned, that I think that it's important to show how wrong people are when they say that Guardiola didn't contribute much or didn't bring anything to the table, and that he's not one of the best coaches in the football history. So Xavi mentioned that around that time, he spoke about many things, but the one thing I wanted to bring here is that when he talked about the time before Guardiola, around 2004, 2005, 6, 7, even just a little bit before winning the Champions League and after that. And if for people who are old enough to remember that time where we had great clubs like Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester United in England, there were Milan, Juve, Inter Milan around that time. They were competing with Barcelona in every trophy in Champions League, right? So he basically mentioned that him and Iniesta, when they played against clubs like Liverpool or Manchester United or Chelsea or Milan, they were really impressed by their midfielders like Pirlo in Milan, Gerrard in Liverpool, and Lampard and so on. And they'd never seen them better than these players. And even the hype around that time was mostly around these midfielders who, do more stats, who score more goals, like Gerrard, like Lampard. And Xavi and Iniesta they were good players, but they were amongst the midfielders. They didn't stand out as they did lately when Guardiola came in. And here I wanted to emphasize Guardiola's importance. So when Guardiola took the team in 2008, he completely changed the face and the landscape of football. Not only tactically, and we will probably going to talk about that later, but in terms of improving players. So if you guys remember, for people who were watching football, they were watching Barcelona. We were a good team among the good teams in Europe, but that's it. We can win So as I said, around that time, Barcelona were not that dominating. We're not this force that dominates opponents, that we didn't see yet the midfield domination, the tiki-taka, the possession, this champagne football we were seeing with Guardiola, with Xavi and Iniesta, and then Busquets and Messi, and these two midfielders, before they didn't stand out, as the best midfielders, but after Guardiola, there was no doubt, and no one in his right mind will say that Xavi and Iniesta were not the best midfielders. So their skill set was embellished by Guardiola and polished to the extent that no one will compare to them. And to this date, everyone was saying that these two players are the best players, the best midfielders, and the best players in their positions, right? So that's what Guardiola, apart from the tactical revolution he made and influencing other coaches, other teams to play the same style or to create a counter style to Guardiola, he made players a lot better than they were, right? So they took players who were already talented. He took players who were already talented like Xavi and Iniesta and took them to the level where no one could compete with them. And he did the same thing in Manchester City with De Bruyne, with Foden, with Bernardo Silva, with Gundogan, so you could see that these players became more, like they were shining brighter than other midfielders, that everyone was saying they are the best midfielders. But before Guardiola, they were good players from the other players, right? So they didn't stand out from the crowd. And that's Guardiola's contribution to football. He doesn't only improve football, but improves players. And that's why he is one of the best players in the world, because you cannot tell me, or you cannot point to a player or 2-3 players, midfielders, strikers, defenders, probably, that they became the best of the best under one specific coach in any other team. You can't tell me that Ancelotti improves players. You can't tell me that Mourinho improves players. You can't point to a player where you will say that Mourinho made this player the best player in the world, right? And even so, you can think about Ronaldo, for example. Ronaldo, I think, was at his best against Alex Ferguson, not as a striker, but he was as a winger. But I enjoyed watching him when he was at Manchester United, but I didn't enjoy watching him when he was with Real Madrid. Not because just his scores against Barcelona, but because his game changed. And I don't think that his game embellished his qualities. He dribbled less, and he became less flamboyant. He will score as many goals or more, but then his game has completely changed. The creativity of his game was completely removed when he played for Madrid and then for Juve. So that's why people who say that Guardiola didn't contribute, or he's not the best coach in history, I completely disagree. Because if you look at the football landscape now, another argument, how many coaches have been influenced by Guardiola, and how much football changed since Guardiola? You will see how Guardiola is important to football, and how the Guardiola revolution in Barcelona completely changed the face of football. And some people are complaining. Some people are saying that before Guardiola, we enjoy the skills of some players. We have the number 10 role, we have the number 9. We were like the skillful players will stand out from the crowd. And that's true, because it was less intensity, it was less tactical. People could could be creative, could express themselves on the field, like Ronaldinho. But Guardiola made it that all the teams start, playing with intensity, more organized tactically, specifically to avoid playing teams that play like Guardiola's system, and they probably were scared to get knocked like 8-0, 9-0, because that's what Barcelona used to do, and that's what any team that plays the same style will do, right? So that's how people start adapting to the system that Guardiola brought to the table. Evolved from the Cruyff, of course, Cruyff system. Then Guardiola kind of took it to the next level, and people start adapting to it, and we see the football, the high intensity, the highly tactical football that we see now. But hey, we can't blame Guardiola for that, right? So he was just playing the best football that is. He was just playing perfection. So for you all there saying that he's not the best coach of the world, I think you should look into that closely, and I'm pretty sure you're going to change your opinion.